What's up gamers, my name's Mr. 100 and here is my 100-minute review of Runescape Dragonwilds. I play 100 minutes of games to determine whether they are worth it or not, and if I dislike it, I'll return it. Hopefully these videos help you decide on your purchases, and if they do, consider subscribing. Let's get it! Our 100 minutes is kicked off with character creation, which, if I'm being brutally honest, it's trash. The women and men faces, hairstyles, and eyes all look exactly the same. I don't care if it's 2025, if I can't make my character look exactly how I want them to look in a video game, then that's an F for this category. Our intro cutscene was not even 2 minutes long, so I do praise the devs for that. There wasn't much to be said anyways. People know magic and dragons exist. Hoorah! Before I knew it, I was plopped into the world of Dragonwilds and told to talk to some people to learn the basics. The graphics are quite simple, but they get the job done. The game would be quite strange if it looked any better, so I have no complaints there. After talking to the dwarf, I was instructed to gather water, and while I do so, I'd like to point out something that I do like about the game. The click to play time ratio is bad for a lot of games, but from character creation to me playing the game was less than 3 minutes, which is huge points. We all know about the 2-hour return window for Steam, so good job there. After returning the water to the dwarf, I was told to make a workbench, which this is probably the most basic workbench and items craftable within it that I've ever seen. But simple items mean simple resources. After picking up a few stones, I was able to make myself a club, and now I should be able to defend myself against enemies. Next camp over taught me how to cook, but before heading to the final tutorial person, here's a little info on skills. Doing actions for different trades gives skill points, and increasing these levels grants certain buffs and abilities. And I'll touch more on this as I level them up. My 11-minute review would be that it feels like a $30 demo. This game is in early access, so I'll cut it some slack, but hopefully the next 89 minutes can change my mind. Next up, as this is a survival game, food and water are obviously important, but the drain rates of thirst and hunger are what upset me. I want you to pay attention throughout this review how many times I need to refill my water and my hunger, as I've only been in the game for 12 minutes and 50 seconds, and I've done virtually nothing besides attack the air. Now for resource gathering. Chopping trees in most games puts wood directly into your inventory, which isn't necessarily realistic, but it's a video game. And then there's RuneScape. Now that the tree has fallen, we must log it, which takes a few swings. And then after we log it, we must split it, which also takes a few more swings. All of that for 5 wood. The final tutorial chick wants 50. But the funny thing is there's logs all over the floor. And when I say all over, I mean it's copious. So there's no reason to even farm these damn trees. Anyways, after returning 50 wood, she gives me a pickaxe, which I'm supposed to use to farm these rune essences, then make a rune altar. This is the heart of all magic in this game. You take those essences to this altar and you can craft different elements of runes which you could use for different types of magic. And now that we're finally done with the tutorial, my water is almost completely drained. Luckily, water is super easy to gather and you can get a lot of it really quickly, so that's not a huge problem. I also noticed that foods have different qualities because this meal that I just ate almost filled up my food meter completely, but these little rat roasts don't do much. So keep in mind my food and water is full at 20 minutes and 15 seconds. I finally headed to the very first village that you come across, and it was infested with goblins. This is what also brings me to my next point, that the combat is this game's redeeming quality. Now, I'm supposed to meet a wise old man in this town to continue on with the story, but I don't have to. I could just keep doing my own thing right here and ignore that completely.
Go build a damn house!
Yeah, no, legit, homeboy wants me to build a house, so that's what I must do. And if you remember me telling you that each part of a tree, there's 3 parts, you get 5 wood, each of these foundations costs 4. So 50 wood took me a few minutes to gather, and now I want you to see how much 50 wood can actually build you. We have an unfinished floor and a damaged mental state. I personally love survival games, but not when it gets in the way of my family time or becomes a second job. And I kid you not, farming for this house felt like a second job. Okay, so before I get to my next point, it's been 8 minutes. Look at my food and water. Anyway, so back to the skills and the trade actions. So I finally got logging leveled up enough to get this ability which chops down some trees, I guess. After 10 minutes, I had a floor and a few walls. And now that you know how I feel about resource gathering and crafting in this game, I won't hover over the topic anymore. But now I want to go have some fun, so I crafted myself a cape so I could be a superhero badass and then ventured out. I'm searching for interesting landmarks, cool dungeons, loot, and everything else you'd want out of an open world exploration game. But all I found was goblins who actually kicked my ass. The parry timing is really hard to learn. These hit like an absolute freight train. And now the entire 4th Battalion, aka chickens and cows, are trying to murder me. So parry knowledge, stamina management, and timing are all key key factors and being a good fighter within the game. Or just use magic if you're an absolute dweeb. I continued learning the combat through the night to give you a better review on how it feels, and I hit my first parry. Felt pretty damn good. The same can't be said about the second half of this fight, but just know I tried my absolute best. And now that I've come out victorious, I could finally talk about these skills. So pressing Q will pull up a magic menu, and as long as you have the rune requirement in your inventory, you can use whatever skill you'd like. So since I've been fighting a lot, I leveled up my fighting skill, giving me more fighting abilities. So as far as combat goes, it's not just hack and slash. There's more to be learned, and it can take a while to perfect, which adds goals to the game, and I really like that. Minute 50, I cooked as much food as I possibly could because I was starting to get irritated with how much I had to eat. I could definitely see this being a problem if I was to play this game long term, so hopefully later on there's skills and abilities where you could just insta-feed yourself maybe. Later on, I did more exploration, cleared out an entire goblin camp, and also noticed that there's a lot more to this map than we think. And just for the review, I headed down into the swamp area and noticed that there's a bunch of resources that are not in the starting area. So my quick analysis would be that every single area has its own unique resources, and you probably have to travel to and from to craft the things you want to craft. This also wouldn't be a proper RuneScape review without using magic, so I farmed up a bunch of rune essence to see what we could do. I also tried my absolute best to finish this house by minute 100 so you could get a good idea of what it could look like. Keywords, tried. After another 8 minutes of building and resource farming, this is the furthest I ever got on this base, and the furthest I ever really wanted to get. Moving forward, I finally went back to the wise old man, and he wanted me to get him deer antlers, so it's time to make a bow and arrow. I started putting all of the resources together that I would need to unlock bow and arrows. And let's just say they still need to iron out a few bugs. One of the things I really do like about the skills in this game is you don't have to put points into anything, meaning you don't have to commit. As you do these actions, they just level up naturally, and you have all of these abilities at your disposal. Anyways, by the hour and 13-minute mark, I was trying to think of what I could craft to unlock bow and arrows, and the spinning wheel made sense. Until it didn't. I got coarse thread and unlocked some cool stuff like a staff, but there's literally an archery table that I'll be crafting next. Once you have access to this fletching bench, it's super simple. You just need a few cheap resources and you can make yourself a bow and a lot of arrows. The spinning wheel was in fact important though, because flax turns into coarse thread, which I needed to craft the bow. But honestly, after doing this, I think it's more worth it to fight with bow and arrow than it is to use melee, just because of how cheap the arrows are. Not only that, but bows have their benefits. You don't have to get close to an enemy to take them out, and that means less damage that you take. After giving the wise old man the antlers, he told me to explore the castle, meaning I need to cook a bunch of food for my final journey. And here's my review on food after this long. While the drain rates are faster than other games that I've played, I don't think it's an issue. You just have to prepare for your trips, and if you're well prepared, then you'll never have a problem. Last thing before I left involved crafting the corresponding runes for my action skills, that way I could use these while I'm out. This is when I noticed that when I crafted the new runes that I haven't crafted before, it unlocked the next element, so I had them all unlocked now. The magic is where this game really shines, and I gotta say, it kept me going. Because I'm not trying to be harsh, but up until this point, it was a little dull. I don't care who you are, where you're from, if you get to coat your weapon in fire, you can't tell me you're not having a good time. I tried my best to hurry up and get up to this castle as quickly as possible, as we only have a few minutes left. The slight issue is there's a bunch of goblins in here, including archers, and I'm only one person. So even though I laid down my sick moves and did the dirty, I still died. This is also a good time to tell you that whenever you die, you do drop all of the items that are on you except your runes, so you could still use your magic to get your way back. When I finally made it to the top of the castle, I was met by Velgar, which is, I'm assuming, the main dragon in the story that you'll fight later. I have no idea though. He did some scary poison stuff, which was easy to evade. I just had to run out. And for my third death in an hour and 35 minutes was by cows. So let me tell you that it's not an easy game necessarily. Now for something I wish I did way earlier was made a staff and a wizard hat. Magic is literally the only way to go in this game. It barely uses up runes, and it's devastatingly strong. So I take back what I said about the bow and arrow. Don't use it. Only use this. Okay, so here's my final assessment of RuneScape Dragonwilds. I'll break it down into 5 categories to make it easier. Is it fun? Yes. Does it look good? Meh. Does it run good? Yes. Is the crafting and farming fun? Hell no. Is the price worth it? Not in my opinion. It's $30 US, and I think that when this game leaves early access and has more to offer, it'll be an amazing deal, but it just feels unfinished, and I can't say that I'll be playing it again anytime soon. My last note is that I think if you played with friends, the farming might be a little bit easier. But with that, my 100 minutes in RuneScape was up. Ultimately, what you play is up to you. As always, these reviews are opinionated and not correct or incorrect in any way. If I helped you reach a decision though, make sure to subscribe to the channel and comment below what game you'd like me to review next. But for my decision, we returning it. See ya.